Appreciate it.
Yeah, I will. Totally. Here we go. It's recording. Thank you. Thank you, Mylene.
Okay, got it.
The opportunity to
Take care.
speak about publishing. Ask away.
Yeah, so how did you start getting into publishing?
Well, it started when I became a mom looking for books for my kids. My eldest is now 13, so it's been a while. But I was looking for books to read to him when he was young, and found that there were very few books that featured Filipino kids. And so that kind of motivated me to write something, especially something in Bisaya, because translating is actually hard work, especially if you're doing it on a brain that's tired after a whole day's work. So it was wanting to find a book that I don't have to translate because I can read it in Bisaya, and also just finding books, period, that showed Filipino kids. Yeah, and then so I got motivated to do that, and I met somebody who was also publishing her book at that time, and she was very motivating and inspiring, and I said, well, I can do this too. So that started the Mama book.
Did you have any publishing experience?
I worked after college with a publishing company called Josie Bass in San Francisco. They're under the Wiley company. I worked as a marketing assistant for about a year, and I think a year and a half. And then I decided it wasn't for me. I decided I didn't like dealing with authors, and because they're such divas with all their, all their problems that I needed to solve for them. And I'm like, I don't want to be catering to authors' issues. I want to be the author. So anyway, that's kind of simplifying it. There were a lot of things that kind of contributed to the decision to no longer work with that company, but it was good, got me exposure to the publishing aspects, the creative side, and the production side, and the marketing side. So it was a good intro to publishing.
So for somebody who's interested in doing publishing, what would be your tips?
So I guess that's I'm going to differentiate publishing versus the writing, right? Because sometimes for me, because I wrote and then I also ended up self-publishing, and then in that process also became interested in publishing not just my work but other people's works. It's necessary for me to think of those roles as separate. They are two different things. There's the writing part, there's the writer part of me, and then there's a publishing part of me. So I think that for somebody who wants to publish and who is not writing, there are resources wise, of course, if you think about like just memberships to different organizations to learn the kind of the industry from, there's the Independent Book Publishers Association, which was very helpful for me. I have a lot of classes on just most of it really is like it's almost marketing related really, and so there is that resource. But I think also the most important thing actually that I could kind of say to somebody who wants to do it is not necessarily related to like the education that you need to get or like the resources that you need to follow. I think it's mostly really like believing in the power of the work that you're doing, which is publishing, and being guided by whatever it is that's motivating you to publish. Like for me, I really think that we in the Filipino American community and the Filipino community need more books that are published by us, not just books about us and written by us, but also published by us. So I try to really, I try to remember that, because sometimes as a writer now, this time as a writer, I think like, well, is it easier for me to get my works out if I just get published through a traditional publisher, right? Like, why would I want to do the work of publishing? Because that's an extra layer of work that I don't necessarily have to do if I just write and then have an agent, market it or sell it to the editors and the publishers. Like, that's a whole lot of thing that I don't have to deal with. But for me, that part is also very important. And so I do it. Sorry, that kind of went all over.
No, that makes sense. So what kind of writers does Waga Press look for?
So I think we are really guided by the values of decolonization and a little bit of social justice. So if you look, for example, at our latest book, Jack and Agu, a lot of it has to do with, first of all, kids wanting to see themselves in the books that they read, and kind of, it is, if you put it in the adult terms, it's very anti-racist, right? It kind of pokes at the institution of publishing, and how white it is, and how it affects our young kids in a way that we don't think it affects them, because they're just 5 years old. But in reality, they are already being shaped by it and being affected by it. And so when I was writing this story, I got a lot of feedback from well-meaning adults, who say that tackling racism and all those things, big things, do not really go with children's books, because it's so heavy and so adult as a theme. And so I had to push back against that, because it's not true, right? Like, it is true. It's not true that kids cannot handle it. It's like, they can, and they do deal with it every day. There's a way to deal with it. So we look for books that are kid friendly, that are that still have the kids in mind. It's still a child's story in the end. Like, for example, Jack and Agu is about a little kid who goes and colors the books brown, gets in trouble. I think a lot of kids can relate to that. The whole being so-called bad and doing things that are not allowed, and then getting in trouble, and then solving their own problems in the end. So I think that a lot of kids can still relate to that, but it still has that layer. Should the adult who's reading it to the kids, or should the adults who are reading with the kids, choose to use the book as an opportunity to start talking about these things? And if not, because for whatever reasons, then they don't have to. Then it's just a story about a little boy who gets in trouble for coloring the books. Period. The end. That's it, right? And then it's about a boy who discovers the Filipino stories of his mama's culture, ancestral culture. We don't have to delve deeper. Like, that's it. Like, that's all the story's about. But if we want to also use the book as an opportunity to start talking about, oh yeah, this is about, being able to see yourselves and blah, 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 all that stuff, then there is that opportunity to do it through the book.
Awesome. I want to submit something.
Yes.
But it's sensitive topics. I mean, not just anti-racist, but touching ancestral traumas.
Mm-hmm.
So to break the pattern of ancestral traumas, and what's the word? Focusing on ancestral strengths.
Yeah. I love that.
Hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to submit something.
Yes. Hold on. I'm going to open the door real quick for my dog. All right, go. Run. Freedom.
Okay, let's see. Any other final things you'd like to share any other things that you'd like to share that wasn't mentioned yet? Oh, pros and cons of being a publisher, your own publisher.
Yes. So the big part, I stopped myself from saying it because I had to tweak how I looked at it. I was going to say that the con of the marketing, I feel like I've discussed the pros, which is,
okay,
we get to write about books. We are in control, right? And that's the beauty of it. But also as a con, of course, we have to always be, at least for us, because we don't have money lying around, we don't have deep pockets, and we're not funded by investors. We don't have a lot of money. We have to rely on crowdfunding, which like what we're doing now, and we have to sell our books in venues that are mostly local, and then we have to rely on like bookstores that sell Filipino books. So I was going to say that is a con because it's such a struggle, but it really is actually not a con in a way. Like that is also the best part about it, is because it gives us a reason to reach out to our community and create these relationships, right? Like through crowdfunding, for example, like I get to reach out to all these people who hopefully also do believe in diversity in books and believe in, all these things that we value, and will support us and give us money because they want these books, not because, well, maybe because they're also my friends. And that's okay. But I'm kind of like, I'll do the work, because this is my effort towards our collective liberation, so to speak. And your part in this whole thing is to give me the money, your hard-earned money, to give it to me because our values align, because we are all in this sort of journey to get to this place where we are all, where we matter and all that. So we're all moving towards our collective liberation. So my part is to make these things, your part is to give me money. But it is hard work, and it kind of takes a certain shift in mindset, right? Like, and so yes, it's both a con because it's hard work, but it is also a great opportunity to create relationships with the community and partner up and create this thing that matters to us, right? I think it's beautiful.
So besides that, as it sounds like a positive aspect of it, what has been the other positive experiences since publishing?
So I think I've gone through this many times because I also have explored the possibilities of being published traditionally, right? So I spent quite some time learning the industry and learning what it takes to be published by other presses other than Sawaga River Press. And I tell you, Ling, it's like the gatekeeping is cray. It's ridiculous. Like for every one Filipino authored book, and there's not very many, right? There's a whole lot of other books that were rejected. And that's just, they will tell you that's just the nature of it, which is true, right? And then they will always tell you, well, don't take it personally. Your books were rejected not because they were bad. It's just because it didn't fit with whatever the editors, I don't know, values, or it doesn't fit with the company's whatever their goals are. Just keep plowing. You'll get there. You will find that one agent or that one editor that vibes with you, and then you'll get that step out of the way, and then there are like 5 billion other steps. Anyway, I don't mean to be all so negative about it, obviously.
Would Sawaga, since it's focused on kid friendly, would there be like an adult version, like adult poetry?
No, well, no, not yet. So I actually, it's so funny that you asked me that, because I am also actually I'm branching out with this one project. And we're trying to publish a reader of first-person narratives and essays and short stories by Pinay attorneys. And that is because I'm an attorney, and in my dealings with the Pinay attorneys locally as well as virtually, I've heard so many awesome stories about, just being an attorney, how we practice our lives, how we practice the legal practice, there's so many stories. And so I figured, okay, since I am personally invested in the attorney thing, I'm going to try to collaborate with Pinay Powerhouse, which is a group of Pinay attorneys across the US, and put together this reader. So we have that going, actually. You're supposed to we're soliciting submissions until the end of the year, and we are hoping to get something out either by March or August. Those are 2 dates because we have major conferences going on those 2 months. So anyway, so that's kind of like a thing that I'm but again, the focus is still decolonizing, still social justice, still all about these themes that we tackle similarly in our children's books, but without the illustrations.
Well, are there any, besides any other Filipino kind of publishing press that are aligned with Sawaga's vision and mission you're aware of?
I don't know, not so much, but I think there's Sari Sari Press, Sari Sari Books. I don't know if you know them. They publish children's books in different languages. I can also send you their websites, because they're pretty cool. Christina Newhart, who is a publisher, is a good friend of mine too. They have 4 books out in different dialects. They have like one in Chabacano, one in Cebuano, one in Waray, and I can't remember what the other one is. So they've got 4 children's books in their list. I don't know if they have any in the works.
Are any publishers that focus on nurses, Filipino nurses?
Not that I can think of. You mean like essays? Like, what do you mean? Like, she'll just focus on stories by nurses, of nurses?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of one, but it may just be like, maybe it's one of those things that can be a subtopic for some of the presses. Like, I know Eileen, the Paloma Press by Eileen Casineto, she has a wide range of topics, adult topics. She doesn't do children's books. So it's Paloma Press by Eileen. And then for children's books, I know there's Gail, the Bridge Delta, the one who published the journey of Larry Itliong.
Oh,
I don't know if they're working on another one, but that so far is the book, and it's a major book. So that's them. Yeah. And then a couple more. I think there's Little Yellow Jeepney, who does board books. And then I'm not sure. There's Eileen Tabius's press, Meritage Press. I'm not quite sure what kind of books she's focusing on. At one point, I know she had Gail Roma Santa's children's book as well, but I don't know. I think mostly she does poetry.
Okay.
And then
a lot.
And then there's Pawa, and the one that you recently did, gosh, what is the group called? The one with Alleluia's group.
Cool Arts.
Cool Arts, yes. They just come up with Musalaya's Gift, I think.
Oh, so they're a publisher? Oh,
Yeah, they published that one.
oh.
I don't know if they published anything more before. I think they did. I think they have published like graphic novels.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, check them out too. Not children's books, obviously, but I think they have graphic novels too.
Wow.
So we have like a few here and there.
Most of these are in the West Coast, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
That I know of. So it might be that there are some in the East Coast I just don't know about because, this is like a different reality.
Ooh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it is kind of, I mean, I think because we don't like when I first started doing this, there were no mentors, right? Like there's no one to ask, like, well, how do you do this? Because there's not a lot of us in the community that are doing it. And even now, like all these publishers that I have mentioned to you, these are all newish, like they're kind of in the same level as I am as far as starting to publish and kind of finding our way here. So we trade. I mean, I know most of them. I know Christina and Gail and Eileen and Manay. And so I know them personally. And so it's such a very small community.
How do you even start a publishing press?
How do you even start a publishing press?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it started because I self-published my first book, right? And so in the process of doing that, I kind of figured out, I kind of had to learn the process, like the creative process, the writing, the editorialing and all that. And then the hiring of the illustrators and then, going forward into production, printing, looking at options for printing, all that stuff. And then figuring out afterwards how to market, how to make relationships with bookstores and libraries and all that. So it kind of just organically happened because I had a project that I was working on. I think that if I were to like learn by like going to school and it's all theoretical, the way we always do things, I think I'd still learn, but it would not stick as much as it did or as it does because I'm actually now I'm really working on a book, right? Like it's not all theoretical for me. It's practical knowledge that I have to get this book from here, from pointing my head, from like an idea to an actual book that little people can read somewhere else, not just here.
Nice.
So I think if you were interested in doing it, probably the best thing would be to just be like, I'm gonna start with publishing my own book and learn what I need to learn to get that book out there. And then like, even for us, it's only our third book, but I feel like we have learned so much and we have, if you look at our books, you can see the difference between the production of the books and even just how we do things has been so different. And so you learn stuff along the way, you make relationships along the way, which I think is the best thing. So yeah.
How did you come up with your name, Sawaga River Press?
Oh, Sawaga, it's very personal to me. It's the name of the river in Malaybalay, Bukidnon, which is where I grew up. And it played such a role in my childhood. And so when I think of water and water being life, and what's the one water that I think of when I when I think of all the years, and Sawaga River is the big one, like, because that was the river that was right next to my school. And every day we would go there and we cut classes. We'd go there and run around and swim in the river with our uniforms on, Anyways, I have a lot of good memories about Sawaga. And also just, I think it's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? A bow, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, to the idea of water being
Honoring.
Yes, yes. This is how we honor water in our lives. So
Wow.
Sawaga River, Sawaga.
This has been the highlight of my day, and I'm so appreciative of you sharing this information.
Yeah.
How do the kids respond
To their books?
to their books? Yeah.
It's funny because my youngest would roll his eyes and be like, ugh. Once he saw the books at the library, and he was like embarrassed to see it there because it has his name. It's like Jack and Aggie. His name is Jack. And he just like, oh, this book again. Like it's such an embarrassing thing. But I don't know. I would hope that having this in their experience will open the possibilities for them as far as being as far as writing or maybe even publishing, because growing up for me, I never thought of writing as a career, or I never thought of being an author as a possibility. Like that's a thing that other people did, right? Like I don't know about you, like we were all raised to be nurses or some kind of health, right? Some kind of healthcare thing,
Yep.
right? Or attorneys, whatever. So the arts is like you do that on the side, but you don't do that as a career.
Yes.
Fridge and it didn't break at all.
Oh wow, cool. Lucky you, Charlie. Sorry, that was my son. My son's at home making me lunch.
Nice.
Yeah, see, Charlie? He says nice. She said nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to, I know you sent me an email about your new book, so I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. And again, like just share it around and it'll, some people will look at it and be like, yes. And some people will be like, so it just depends. But thank you for sharing it.
Wow. That ends my questioning.
Yay. So what are you trying to do with this one? Like, are you writing?
No, it's a 5-page report for my publishing class about publishers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the first one.
Uh-huh. Are you going to interview more, or are you
just one more? I don't have the bandwidth for more, but just another one. But it's totally different, like not about children at all. It's called Magos, Magos, which is about the divine.
Wow.
Yeah. So my mentor mentioned it to me. I don't know anything about it, but it's a pre-colonial, I think, based on the Korean, I don't know, their beliefs, pre-colonial practices that this woman started. Similar to, there isn't anything that exists about that, so that's why she's starting it. So I'm interviewing women. Publishers, women of color.
Yes.
Publishers. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I didn't know I was gonna do this because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in a retraining program to get myself well, right? And I like what you're saying about the writing path. It's just like happenstance. And I'm actually really enjoying writing. And like my mom was like responding to some of my poetry. It's like, how's this gonna make money?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's not where I'm at right now.
Right. I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about how for me, the publishing and also the writing, obviously, because I'm kind of looking at it both ways, is really like, it's really my way. And this is very personal now. It's like, this is my form of kind of prayer and like path to healing, really. Like, and it's like, what's healing about it? And it's really like healing from our colonial wounds, you know, all the stuff that have been passed on to us. And it's kind of my way of finding my way back to myself and to home, the big home, and just heal. Like that's a big thing. It really is about healing. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because hopefully it sounds like it is for you as well. It's not just about the money, but
Well,
it's
if
about
that
wealth.
happens, that'd be great.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. But it is about wealth, but the mental and like relationship wealth and
yes.
wellness, not actually wealth, but wellness, the health and wellness and abundance, not necessarily in money, but like in relationships and all that stuff, right? Anyway.
Yeah. So salamat. Daghang salamat.
Yay!
I'm looking forward to your books. And by the way, talking about, I have the Visayan book still for you.
I know, right? October 5, I'm not October, December 5, I will be in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Doing the social justice book fair. If it doesn't
where? Saan?
Shoot, I can't remember where.
Okay.
I was told it's cross street San Pablo and Ashby, somewhere around there.
Okay. Is it? It's not Eastwind bookstore, is it?
No, not Eastwind. It's some parking lot because it has to be an outdoor event.
Oh. Sige, you're gonna post about it, so I'll look for it.
Yes, I will put. Actually, I have posted about it last week, but I will post.
Oh, you did?
Years, yes. I'll tag you. I can't tag anymore for some reason. Every time I try on Facebook, it doesn't let me. So
just put the name on the comment. That way. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because I haven't been on.
If I go there, maybe I can see you. Maybe you'll go. If not, maybe I can see you afterwards because I'll be in the area.
No, I'll go if it's there.
Awesome. Cool.
Sige. Thank you.
Salamat, Liling. I'll talk to you later.
Will you share the recording too?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on. Smile. I'm gonna take a photo. All right, got it. Thank
you.
Bye.